Hey everybody, welcome to Comics with Bueller. As always, I'm Bueller. Today is another episode of Just the Keys. This is where we take a whole series run and we point out the keys that are in that run. Today we are focusing on Wolverine. I'll tell you all the ones that I found. I'll tell you what they're going for on prices. I do a lot of research. I look them up how much they're selling for CGC. I look how much they're selling for Raw. And I also look up how much they're selling for in the Overstreet price guide that came out earlier this year. Before we get started, if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, please go ahead and do so right now because we're going to do a lot more of these videos and we got this new format and I think it looks pretty good. Let's learn a little bit of history about Wolverine before we get started. He was created by three people, Roy Thomas, Len Wein, and John Romita Sr. He made his first appearance in Hulk 180 and 181. Hulk 180 is considered his cameo and Hulk 181 would be his first full appearance. In 1975, just a year later, he then joined the X-Men in Giant Size X-Men #1, and he's been a part of the team for the most part ever since. In 1982, he got his standalone series, issue 1 through 4. It's one of my favorites. So now that you're caught up on Wolverine's history, let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and look at issue number 1. This came out in 1988. This is the first solo series for Wolverine and also the first when he has the black costume on as well. I did a little bit of research, I saw some prices on this, and I got some nice notes that'll come in handy. CGC, a 9.8, sold for recently $180. Raw copies of this book, near mint, sold for $40. And then if you look in the Overstreet, which just came out earlier this year, they have it listed at $60 near mint. This one is a hard book to find in near mint condition because it does have the black border around it and spine ticks show up almost immediately. If you have a nice copy of this, you should probably go ahead and get it graded because it's definitely going to be worth it. The next one we're going to look at is issue number 4. Issue number 4 has two first appearances in it, the first one being Bloodsport and the second one being Rough House. I looked this one up as well to see what they're going for. CGC 9.8 sold for $120 just recently. Raw copies of this, about $10 for near mint, and Overstreet has this listed at $16. This book is actually pretty easy to find. You might be able to pick it up in those dollar bins as well, because I know I have just recently. Number 6 is the next one on my list, and this one doesn't have a first appearance, but this one is kind of cool, because on the back of the cover, and they did this for a lot of the early Wolverine books, they had an artist rendering of Wolverine. And the back cover of this has Todd McFarlane artwork, a great picture of Wolverine, and I'm probably showing it right now. Raw copies of this are only $4. I couldn't find any of these CGC'd. Overstreet has this listed at $10. This is another book that you're probably going to find sitting in the dollar bins. Just do a little bit of digging. Okay, this next one is one of my favorites. It's number 8. It's a classic cover with Wolverine and Joe Fixit, otherwise known as the Hulk, and it's just one of my favorite covers, to be honest with you. I looked this one up. CGC copies of this, 9.8, are selling for $150. Raw copies of this, around $20, and Overstreet has this listed at $30. This one is pretty consistent for what you're going to pay for it. It's been sitting around that $20 range for many years. It's a great cover. If you can find it for cheap, go ahead and get it. This next one's a little bit more spendy. This one is issue number 10. This is the first battle between Sabretooth and Wolverine in his ongoing series. There's also a first appearance of Silver Fox. I looked this one up. CGC copies of this, 9.8, are sold for $200 right now. Raw copies at about $20 and Overstreet for around $40. I just picked this one up in the dollar bin not too long ago. I got lucky, let's just say that. But it's a great book and it's a nice key to pick out. We're going to jump all the way up 30 books to issue number 41. There's two printings of this book. There's the regular and there's a gold foil. And this is where Sabretooth claims to be Wolverine's father. Who knows? And also Cable makes an appearance. CGC of the gold one sold for a 9.8 at $60. Raw copies of this is about the same for both. It's around $4. And Overstreet has the regular one listed at $10 and the gold one at $12. Next one is number 50. This has a first appearance. This is the first appearance of Shiza. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Shiza. And it's got a great cutout cover as well, so it's really cool looking. Didn't find any CGCs of this one, but raw copies only sell for about $2, and Overstreet has it listed at $5. Easy book to pick up for under $1. We're going to go ahead and jump up to number 57 now, and this one doesn't have a first appearance, but it does have a death of a character, and it is the death of Mirko. That's always sad. Anyway, raw copies of this book only sell for about $2. Overstreet also has it listed at about $5. Another book you can pick up really cheap, but it is considered a key. The next one we're going to talk about is number 80. There's a little bit of controversy to this book. Some people think that this is a cameo appearance of X-23. Apparently there's a test tube, and there's a label on the test tube in one of the panels, and it references X-23. I didn't know about that. I just found out about it. Your guess is as good as mine, but let me go ahead and tell you what they're selling for. 9.8s of this book, CGC, are selling for $105. Raw copies of this book sells for about $3. Overstreet has it listed at $4. I have a couple copies of this book. I know I just recently picked one up in the 50-cent box, so it's not very hard to find. We're going to jump up 8 more issues to issue 88. This is the first fight between Deadpool and Wolverine, so that's kind of cool. CGCs of this book, 9.8, sell for $130. Raw copies of this book sell for $14, and Overstreet only has it listed at $4. Overstreet has not reflected the price of what it's selling for yet, but it might catch up next time. The next one is issue 97. This does have a first appearance in it, and I know I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong because I do that all the time. It's the first appearance of Chimera, something like that. I didn't find any CGCs of this book, but raw copies of this sell for about $3, and Overstreet also has it listed at $3. Easy book to pick up. Alright, we're more than halfway done. We're now on to issue 100, and there's 2 versions of this book. There's a regular and then a hologram anniversary issue. The CGC of the hologram one, 9.8, sold for about $50. The regular one in raw is only about $3, and then the hologram one is about $6. If you look it up in Overstreet, they have the regular one listed at $5, and then the hologram one at $12. I have not come across the hologram copy yet. I do have the regular one, but it's kind of a cool book. This next one apparently was a mail away through Wizard. This is considered issue 102.5, and this one is a very spendy book, and I wasn't aware of this one until I looked into it. CGC's 9.4 sold for $275. Raw copies of this near mint sell for $120. Overstreet also has this listed at $100. So if you have Wolverine 102.5, which like I said I wasn't aware of, that book's worth a little bit of money. Next one on the list is issue number 131, and this one would be considered an error comic or a recalled comic, and apparently there's a racial slur in the book. So 131 has a racial slur, which is not great, and it was recalled from what I understand. CGC 9.8 of this book sell for about $80. Raw copies of this book in near mint, $15, and Overstreet only has it listed at $3. I don't know if I've come across this book yet, but I'll keep my eye out, and I don't even know if they replaced it, to be honest with you. The next one we have is issue 145. This is Wolverine's 25th anniversary edition. This is 25 years of Wolverine goodness. There is another version of this book. It's the Nabisco variant. That book sells for quite a bit of money. And then there's 2 versions of the regular book as well. There's a regular one and a gold foil one. The gold foil one, a 9.8 CGC, sold for $167 recently. Raw copies of the regular version sold for $16, and raw copies of the gold one sold for $27. Overstreet has them both listed at $5. There might even be a 4th one out there. I think I saw something, but I'm not 100% sure. Then we're going to jump up to 154, and this is a Rob Liefeld cover. And take that for what you want. Anyway, this has Deadpool and Wolverine on the cover. This book right now, CGC 9.8, recently sold for $109. Raw copies of this book sell for around $20, and Overstreet only has it listed at $4. The next issue is 155, the very next one. This is also a Deadpool appearance. CGC of this book is a little bit higher than the last one. 9.8 sold for $130. Raw copies are around $25, and Overstreet still has that listed at $4. Just 3 more books to go. This is issue 159. This is the first appearance of Mr. X. Couldn't find any of these CGCs. Raw copies are only $3, and if you look in Overstreet, they also have it listed at $3. It is the first appearance, but you're going to find this book sitting in the 50-cent boxes, no problem. Issue number 163 is next on our list. This is also another first appearance. This is the first appearance of Shiverman. I've never heard of Shiverman until just now. Raw copies of this one also are only $3. Overstreet also has this listed at $3. Another book you'll be able to find in the 50-cent boxes. Last book on our list is actually the last issue. I always like to highlight the last issue of the series because we start with number 1 and we end with the last. This is issue 189. There's nothing too special about this book besides the fact that it is the last issue. Raw copies of this book about $3, and then Overstreet has it listed at $3 also. So those are all the keys in the 1988 run of Wolverine. Hopefully you enjoyed what you saw. There are some other minor first appearances that are in the book. They didn't do much after they made the first appearance, and they kind of faded away very quickly. If there's some major ones that I missed, please leave the comments down below. I'd really appreciate that. Hopefully you guys liked this. This was a lot of fun. Hopefully you liked the new format. This is how all these are going to look from now on. I want to say thanks once again. Please like, subscribe. You guys know what to do. We'll see you next time. Bye.